Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotara Satashvi Shri Mati's Divine Grace Shila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistuki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 13, The Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, text number 12. Word for word. Swarviti Vatsarashyesta Bharya Sutta Sad Atmajam Pushparnam Tikmaketam Cha Isham Urjam Vashum Jayam Sarviti Vatsarasyesta Bharya Sutta Sad Atmajam Pushparninam Tigmaketam Cha Isham Ujam Vashum Jayam Swarvitir Vatsarasyesta Bharya Sutta Atmajam Pushpaninam Tigmaketam Cha Isham Ujam Vasum Jayam Sarvitirva Saratsyesta Varya Sutta Sat Atmajan Pushpanam Tigma Ketam Cha Isham Ujam Vashum Jayam. Try. Sarviti Varasya Syesta Bharya Sutta Sadatpajat Pushpanam Tigma Ketam Cha Isham Ujam Vashum Jayam. Swavitir Varasyesta Arya Sutta Sad Atmajan Pushpanam Tigma Ketam Cha Isham Ujam Vashum Jayam. Anyone? Mataji's. Word for word translation. Swarviti Swarviti Vatsarasya of King Vatsara. Ista very dear. Bharya wife. Asuta gave birth to. Sat 6 Atmajan sons. Pushparinam Pushpana Tigmaketam Tigmaketu Cha also. Isham Isha Urjam Urja Vasum Vasu Jayam Jaya. Translation. King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Sarvati, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushpana, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu and Jaya. So please repeat. King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Sarvati, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushparna, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu and Jaya. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vatsara's wife is mentioned here as Ista, which means worshipable. In other words, it appears that Vatsara's wife had all good qualities. For example, she was always very faithful and obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all good qualities for managing household affairs. If both the husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth, and thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurul Militam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Satadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschata Dishatarine Vanchakalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnaveyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation. King Vatsara had a very dear wife whose name was Sarvati, and she gave birth to 6 sons named Pushpana, Tigmaketu, Isha, Urja, Vasu and Jaya. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he gives very wonderful instructions or the qualities of both the husband and the wife. Vatsara's wife is mentioned here as Ishta, which means worshipable. In other words, it appears that Vatsara's wife had all good qualities. For example, she was always faithful and obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all good qualities for managing household affairs. So, we'll find also a very nice pastime later on in the Srimad Bhagavatam from the 9th canto of the pastime of Sukanya and Jivana Muni. Sukanya was a young girl who married Jivana Muni, who was very old. He was said to be like old enough to be her grandfather. So once King Saryati he was very knowledgeable in Vedic culture. He was the ruler and he performed many sacrifices. So he was very popular king. And he had a daughter called Sukanya. She was very young and beautiful. So once they went to the forest to visit the ashram of Jivana Muni, and Sukanya was accompanied by her young friends, and they began to go into the forest and collect fruit and things like that. And at one point she saw in a wormhole that there was some light coming. So she took a thorn and she pierced this luminous object. And when she did that, blood began to come out. And as a result of this, they were like she pierced glowworms, and blood began to ooze out. So during this time when this happened, there was a strange thing that happened to King Saryati and his soldiers, that they could not pass stool and urine. So when King Saryati was bewildered, why is this happening? He thought that maybe someone has offended Jivana Muni. And when this was happening, the young girl Sukanya, she understood that she actually did something wrong. So she admitted what she did. She told her father that, I pierced these glowworms with a thorn, and blood came out of their bodies. And so then the king understood what happened. So he went to the elderly sage Jivana Muni, and he explained what his daughter had done. And in this way, the first thing the elderly sage Jivana Muni, he first asked, is your daughter married? So by this time, when King Saryati heard this, he understood the purpose of the sage asking this question. So immediately he offered his young daughter to this elderly old sage. So we'll find a very nice purport in this regard by Srila Prabhupada. Jivana Muni was very irritable. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 3. I'll read the purport because it is very instructive. And Prabhupada gives wonderful advice, guidelines on married life. It's very, very important. Prabhupada writes in this purport, this is an indication, or the translation, Jivana Muni was very irritable, but since Sukanya had gotten him as a husband, she dealt with him very carefully, according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. So we can understand Sukanya is a very young girl, and her husband is old enough to be her grandfather, Jivana Muni. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada writes, this is an indication of the relationship between husband and wife. A great personality like Jivana Muni had the temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. Such a person cannot submit to anyone. Therefore, Jivana Muni was irritable, had an irritable temperament. His wife Sukanya could understand his attitude, and under the circumstances she treated him accordingly. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Gaur Hari ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Prabhupada makes a very nice point. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. This is very important for those who are trying to enter Grihastha life. Very nice instruction. That the first point is that the wife must try to understand the husband's temperament and try to please him. This is victory for a woman. Even in the dealings of Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were daughters of great kings, they placed themselves before the Lord as his maid servants. Prabhupada also makes another very nice point. However great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. When the wife becomes irritable as the husband, their life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. Very nice point Prabhupada makes. In the modern day, the wife is never submissive, and therefore home life is broken even by the slight incidents. It is a fact. We see it every day. Either the wife or the husband may take advantage of the divorce laws. According to Vedic law, however, there is no such thing as divorce laws. And a woman must be trained to be submissive to the will of her husband. Prabhupada continues, Westerners contend that this is a slave mentality for the wife. But factually it is not. It is the tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. In this case, we clearly see that Jivana Muni was not young, but indeed old enough to be Sukanya's grandfather, and was also very irritable. Sukanya, the beautiful young daughter of a king, submitted herself to her old husband and tried to please him in all respects. Thus she was a faithful and chaste wife. So if we're thinking of getting married, or whatever the case is, there's a nice instruction in this purport, is that the husband and wife, they should try and understand each other, especially the wife, she should try to understand the mood of her husband. The mood of her husband is very important, then she'll be able to be submissive. And Prabhupada clearly says, if both are irritable, then when the wife becomes irritable as the husband, their life at home is sure to be disturbed and ultimately completely broken. So here we see, in today's purport, Prabhupada is writing the same thing. And he's saying here that the wife was actually worshipable because she was faithful, obedient and affectionate to her husband. She had all good qualities of managing household affairs. If both the husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth. And thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. So in another purport, in chapter 4, in Canto 4, chapter 1, verse 6, Prabhupada writes a very nice purport. An ideal husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayan, to compare them to the Lord and the Goddess of Fortune. For it is significant that Lakshmi Narayan are forever happy as husband and wife. A wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and a husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. Sometimes you'll see during wedding ceremonies, there's so much festivals that go on, so much rituals that go on to prepare the husband and wife, like sometimes a week, sometimes a month before the wedding. So much ceremonies are going on. This is to prepare the husband and wife to represent at the time of the wedding, to represent Lakshmi Narayan. And this is the point that Prabhupada is making here. That an ideal husband and wife are generally called Lakshmi Narayan, to compare them to the Lord and the Goddess of Fortune. So it's good to have all these rituals, these ceremonies before the wedding. It's for purification. That ultimately when there's the wedding ceremony that's going to take place, then the male and the female, or the husband and wife, they represent Lakshmi Narayan. Prabhupada continues, a wife should always remain satisfied with her husband, and the husband should always remain satisfied with his wife. Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Shloka. In the Chanakya Shloka, the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, it is said that if a husband and wife are always satisfied with one another, then the Goddess of Fortune automatically comes. In other words, there is no disagreement between husband and wife. All material opulence is present and good children are born. See? Prabhupada is speaking of that in today's purport. Prabhupada writes, if both husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children take birth. And thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. So here Prabhupada is giving further evidence. He says, it's such a nice purport. In the Chanakya Shloka, or the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, it is said that if a husband and wife are always satisfied with one another, then the Goddess of Fortune automatically comes. That means Lakshmi will come. There will be no scarcity of anything. In other words, there is no disagreement. Where there is no disagreement between husband and wife, all material opulence is present, and good children are born. Prabhupada continues, generally, according to Vedic civilization, the wife is trained to be satisfied in all conditions. The husband, and the husband, according to Vedic injunctions, is required to please the wife with sufficient food, ornaments, clothing. Then, if they are satisfied with their mutual dealings, good children are born. In this way, the entire world can become peaceful. But unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there is no ideal husbands and wives. Therefore, unwanted children are produced, and there is no peace and prosperity in the present day world. This is the reason why we also see what Prabhupada is telling us. Therefore, unwanted children are produced, and there is no peace and prosperity in the present day world, which is a fact. Why? Because of Varna Shankara. That's explained in Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the reasons Arjuna gives why he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. If all the men die, there'll be no one to protect women, and women will be exploited, and there'll be unwanted children. And these unwanted children will give rise to bad population. And this is what we see in today's world. Because no one follows the Varnashrama system, they're not properly trained. And of course, in the very beginning, marriage is very nice. The attraction between the boy and girl is so nice. But as they go on with their lives, they become irritable because there's no training. And here we see from the example of Sukanya that she could understand the mind, the mood of her husband, and she was able to tolerate a very old husband, old enough to be a grandfather. And the result for her was that the Ashwini Kumaras, or the physicians, they were able to transform the body of Jivana Muni into a beautiful young boy. So in this way, that was her result, that by her austerity, by her tolerance, she was rewarded with a very youthful husband. So unwanted children are produced. When there's unwanted children, there's no peace and prosperity in the world, which is a fact. Because unwanted children, that's not according to samskara or according to the varnashrama system, they simply give rise to bad population. Bad population means human beings acting like animals, simply eating, sleeping, mating and defending. They do not follow the Vedic way of life, and they simply destroy human society. So this is also for our leaders in society, how important it is for them to at least try and read Prabhupada's books. And they are trying in so many ways to make people happy. People start protesting, okay, we'll give you this for free, and they simply use it for the sense gratification. They simply produce children, and they do not know how to take care of children. Children are abused, they're neglected. When they go to school, they cannot fit into their peer groups and things like this. So it's a very, very difficult situation because no one has the proper idea or the Vedic idea, as Prabhupada is saying. And if the husband and wife are satisfied with each other, Prabhupada is clearly saying, then the goddess of fortune automatically comes. There'll be no scarcity of anything. They'll be able to live peacefully and happy. So to understand the mood of the husband is very important. Prabhupada once commented that a wife should simply serve a husband who is a sadhu, who is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Automatically she'll be satisfied, and at the same time she will make spiritual advancement in her life. So today's purport is very nice, and it's very good instruction for at least those who are trying to follow Krishna consciousness and those who are thinking of getting married or entering the Grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram, we can understand, ashram means spiritual and householder life. So there's no difference between anyone, a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, everyone's following the same thing. But the grihastha ashram is probably the most important ashram for us, especially, in Krishna consciousness, because it's due to the grihasthas that everything is going on. They support the temple. They are allowed to work. They are allowed to earn a livelihood. So the grihastha ashram is very important because they support the brahmacharis, the vanaprastha and sannyasis. So, but the grihasthas, or those who are choosing this path, they should learn how first to properly lead a grihastha ashram life. They should take advice from Srila Prabhupada through his purports. They should take advice from the more senior devotees, especially those who are in grihastha life and who are practicing. They should take advice and then decide, this is the life I'm going to lead. Am I ready for it? Otherwise it causes disturbance. If the husband and wife become irritable, there's going to be problems. And if they're not peaceful, then here we see that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, will not be present so much. There'll be difficulties all the time. So in this way, the children will not be good. They'll be confused in their life what to do. It's because they'll see the parents fighting all the time. And then they will think, what is this devotional service they involved in? And as a result, children will not be enthusiastic about taking to Krishna consciousness. They can see that their parents are like the parents from the outside, from their children, their friends in school, their parents are also fighting. My parents are the same. So they'll be not so interested in taking up to Krishna consciousness. This is another reason why we find very few children of devotees actually becoming serious in Krishna consciousness. And they're more attracted to the external things that go outside, getting a nice job, nice career, things like that. But all the facility is here to really perfect your life in Krishna consciousness. But somehow we see how empty our temple is this morning. It could be filled with only devotee children. But something is wrong somewhere. Here Prabhupada is giving the perfect advice. Husband and wife should become satisfied with each other. This way they will not become irritable. They will not fight like cats and dogs. So, and Prabhupada is quoting Chanakya Pandit. There's no divorce in Vedic culture, in the Vedic law books. So this is good advice, especially in these 2 purports, 3 purports we've read, and especially in today's purport. If both the husband and wife are endowed with good qualities and live peacefully, then nice children can take birth. And thus the whole family is happy and prosperous. Happy and prosperous is very good. Also in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, he gives the destination of those who are unsuccessful in their practice of spiritual life or Krishna consciousness. He says that there's 2 results. They take birth in very pious family, or they take where they can continue their devotional service, or they take birth in rich families where they can also take birth, they can also continue in the devotional service. When they take birth in rich families, that means they don't have to worry about their maintenance. They don't have to worry about getting Lakshmi or money. It's there already, so they can simply practice Krishna consciousness and attain full perfection. They can perfect their lives in that life. So this is the full opportunity that's given by Srila Prabhupada, and we'll find in these purports we've read, he's so clearly saying that how husband and wife should become peaceful, they should be ready to serve each other nicely, live peacefully, have good children. Then the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, will be present. There'll be no economic problems. And as a result, everyone will be able to practice Krishna consciousness peacefully. Hare Krishna. We stop there. You can take your comments or questions. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.